All right, we're going to be led in the pledge by Mr. Coy Young. Thank you, Mr. Young. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to a special call meeting in regards to what our Director of Schools evaluation that was recently conducted by Tennessee School Board Association. Tonight we've got Mr. Randall Bennett with us from TSBA. He's going to go over the evaluation with us and I guess tell us what all these numbers mean. So what we'll do at the end after Mr. Bennett gets done, we'll probably have a few comments.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Overall, these numbers are outstanding. Appears to be a really fantastic working relationship between this board and the superintendent. There seems to be a lot of confidence in the superintendent, not only among this board, but the administrators. As we go forward, we'll look at all that too. So let's just kind of thumb through this and talk about what we've got. On the second page, this is the administrator's perspective, and we asked them to rate the director on those 20 items. Now, it was a 3-point rating scale. You all did a higher rating scale, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, a 5-point, or was it? Yeah. Yeah, 5-point scale. But for the administrators, we asked them to rate two things. First of all, how you think the superintendent is doing on that particular indicator, and then how important that indicator is to you as an administrator, as an employee of the school district. And you can compare the two going down the rating in the first column, the importance there. Sometimes there's a little bit of difference, but if you look at the bottom, I think it's significant that overall, with all 20 of these indicators, the director got a 2.77 out of a possible 3 rating for his job performance, which is either outstanding, acceptable, or improvement, and is well above acceptable, nearing almost outstanding. And as far as the importance to the different administrators here, that came out at 2.63. So overall, what's most important to these administrators, he's actually doing better. They rated him better overall on all these factors than they did as far as how important it was to him. It's not a huge difference, but I think that's significant, because if all of a sudden you'd had a low rating over here on the left-hand column, and then the administrator saying this is really crucial or important to us, then I think you'd have to look at that. But I think this is an outstanding result, and we had 59 responses on this, which was super. So any questions on the administrator's portion of it? All right, let me move on to Appendix B on the next page. These are the questions that we ask you to rate the superintendent on. And as you can see, out of a possible 5, the numbers come down this way. In the first category, board relationships, in other words, how you all relate to the superintendent of schools, the total for the category was 4.5 out of 5, which again is excellent. Community relations, he did even higher there with a 4.73 out of 5 on those 4. The staff and personnel relationship, 4.8. 4.8, that's approaching perfect. So going down to facilities and finance, you all seem to be very pleased with the way it's going there, 4.7 on that. Under the vision category, under those 5, you overall rate those 4.43. And student achievement at the bottom of that page, 4.67. Now again, looking at the scale of 1 to 5, and that's out, 5 being outstanding, then that's certainly a good result all the way around on those. And if you look on the next page, I have averaged the entire thing for you. The categories, the rating categories, what their number was and what the average is overall for those 6, and you see a 4.64 out of a possible 5. I think that's great. I mean, I can't sit here and make recommendations to you about anything else you can do. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. It's working really well. And the last was the annual objective. This is the thing in the evaluation format that does change from year to year based on what Mr. Odom is getting from the state as far as the expectation goes. And again, we rank this on a 3-point scale with 3 being expectations have been met, 2 progress has been made toward meeting expectation, and 1 would be no progress has been made toward meeting the expectations. That didn't happen in any of the categories. If you look at the achievement measures on the bottom of page 6 there, you can see for all of those achievement measures, it was ranked as 2.79 by you all based on the information that you've seen. The achievement measure, the performance indicators on page 7, you will see 2.5 for number 2, which is the achievement measures. Number 3, the gap closure measures for economically disadvantaged, 2.5. Gap closure measures for English language learners, 2.5. Students with disability, 2.08. And I didn't put those two together and average them because I don't think, they're not necessarily consistent with the others. But obviously, the most difficult category, I would think sometimes, is to make sure that the gap closes for students with disabilities. And while this was the lowest rated one in this whole section, it's still making good, solid progress toward it. So all of these things, the things that you wanted to measure him on based on what the state expectations are, there appears to be either completely meeting or darn good progress getting there. Any questions about that section? The last section are just to the comments that you all added, and they speak for themselves. The comments are excellent. I read all of them. I'd be proud to have an evaluation with these kind of comments on it myself. I think obviously there's a very good working relationship here, and everything that you all submitted to us was included in these last 2 or 3 pages. And that brings me to the end. And let me say that I congratulate you all for taking the effort to do this and making sure that you're following up on things and holding your director accountable, just like the state holds the teachers accountable and everything else, just like the voters hold you accountable. If they don't feel like you're doing a good job, I think accountability is important. And I also think a good working relationship between the superintendent and the board is crucial to being successful. And I think with all the different things that have happened with Rutherford County, all the recognition from the state, it appears to me that you've got a good thing going here. Don't mess it up. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. Now let me just stop and take questions. Any questions about the evaluation or anything else as far as observations that you've made or things that you'd like me to try to clarify?
I'll just give a perception in that I feel like this is probably one of the most thorough evaluations that we've conducted since I've been on the board. And I appreciate the TSBA being involved because everything is structured. The questions were, they delved into, the actual, the dynamics of Mr. Odom's job. So I appreciate the effort that you have made, and I think this gives us a good, clarity of what a great job Mr. Odom has done for us.
Okay, thank you.
Ronald, just curious, how many of these have you used on other districts so far, these evaluations?
Well, matter of fact, Tammy just recently did Murfreesboro, and I went to report for her because it's so far from where she lives, and I'm right here, as you know. So they use something similar, but not quite like this.
Okay.
There are different instruments. People will use this as a starting point and develop what they want. I think they were looking at a 4-point scale instead of a 5-point scale. They did look at specific objectives, though, like you did. And generally around the state, it's some variation of this that people are using. So we recommend, hey, get as creative as you and your director think can work in a situation like that. But I think having subjective evaluation as well as objective evaluation, looking at what needs to be done, is important, because the relationship between the superintendent and the administrators and the superintendent board is crucial. So those subjective items I think are important, but also looking at what's being expected from a standpoint of state expectations and meeting those expectations and moving the school district forward, those are also very important. And those I think are measured really more fairly. It's not a matter of whether or not you like the person, but how are they actually doing? And I know that you all had a Saturday retreat to discuss those items on that, and that helps you complete your evaluation form. So I think it's a good approach, I really do. And I would recommend you stick to this and something similar to this as you go forward. Using the same instrument next year with the new objectives that come down from the state, the different things like that, then I think you're good to go.
I understand the anonymity of the administrator feedback, and I appreciate that, but how was our level of participation? Did we get feedback from?
There were 59 people that responded, 59 administrators that
Okay.
responded on that first sheet.
Forgive me for not knowing how many were requested.
Joyce, I'm gonna have to, do you know?
We have
It's-
slightly over 100.
Okay,
Here, that's-
It was a good response,
okay.
because I kept adding them to a spreadsheet I had set up, and, the responses that, and there was good responses all the way around, and a lot of positive things, I think, from that. But it was a good turnout. Lots of times people don't take part, but, if you got at least half or more like that, I think you've got a good representation.
Good. Did you see anywhere in the analysis where you would encourage us to add an additional area of examination or any areas that you felt like got overlooked?
There was nothing in everything that I read, not only from your evaluation forms, but also from the administrators that just jumps out at me. I mean, if you're looking at this, it's more like a fine tuning as opposed to a major overhaul. Because I think what you've got going is working well, and I think your superintendent's doing a great job for you.
Anybody else?
Are we into a comment section yet? Or we're on-
If we're done asking Mr. Bennett questions, we can go to comments.
I'd just like to say that I like that there's a consensus with administrators, our board, the achievement data that was put together. All of it across the board is consistent with Mr. Odom doing an excellent job. And Rutherford County is a challenging district. We're continue to grow. There's still economic challenges that we contend with every day. The academic changes, legislative changes have just rolled downhill every year, and Rutherford County has continued to improve, and that goes with leadership, and certainly Mr. Odom's predecessor, Mr. Gill did a great job, and of course, Mr. Odom is carrying on that tradition. And Mr. Odom, how you read data and can interpret it and get us in the right direction, I'm amazed at and just appreciate your efforts so much. And this is an exemplary evaluation, and you deserve one. So thank you for all that you do, because you've always put the children first, and I'm happy that we have your leadership. So thank you.
Anybody else?
At the board retreat that Randall made mention of, we did indeed not only take a look backwards at things that we had accomplished that helped us to fill out some of the empirical data here, but also set up those goals for the coming year, again, with Mr. Odom's analysis of the data that we have and the emphasis on students with disabilities and achieving there. We'll continue to track that. We'll see it on next year's evaluation, and we'll make progress there. I'm confident that we will. At the same time, those areas where we're achieving with great success, we're going to, as a board, set those aside and pick up new objectives. And I think the instrument that TSBA has helped us to put together here is outstanding. I think the process has been wonderful, and I can't say enough about Mr. Odom and your performance. Thank you for what you've done and for what you're continuing to plan for the future.
Anybody else? Mr. Young?
I would like to ask Mr. Odom, how did you think the evaluation worked?
Well, I'm pleased. I've not seen this before, but I am pleased that you have this level of confidence in what we're doing. It's not just me, it's the team. Lots of good people work for you in Rutherford County and the students of Rutherford County. And that's how you're successful. I'm a firm believer in a collaboration model. That's why we have professional learning communities. And we collaborate here at the central office and in the schools. And when we unify together and we have common goals and things that we want to accomplish, then your possibilities and your potential for accomplishing those goals just goes up. So it's the team effort. You know, I'm sitting in the seat right now, but I'm telling you, it's everybody out there that's doing those jobs and adding to that, Mr. Young. That's exactly what it is. The whole team.
It shows, I mean, it really does. You guys do an awesome job. We just got to keep supporting you, keep it going in that direction.
Mr. Nicker?
I would like to direct this to Mr. Bennett that, based upon all the comments from the administrators and the board, is there anything that you can pass along to Mr. Odom and us that can help us achieve even a higher rating?
Looking at the vast majority of the administrator responses, and I have no idea who they came from, they just came to me anonymously. There is a very small percentage that don't seem to be thrilled, but that's the case with anybody. The vast majority of the administrators seem to have a very positive attitude, not only of the job he's doing, but their relationships with him. You know, if you had a half and half on that, then I think you'd have a problem, but you don't have that at all. You've got a handful of people who are not crazy about a person, and they indicate that on an evaluation. But overall, I mean, you saw the averages. Even with those people, the averages are right up there at the top.
Right.
So I think he's doing well.
Right.
There are some people you just can't please.
True, but I was kind of wondering if there was any suggestions from the administrators on something that could be improved or, you know.
Mostly they just checked off
okay.
and rated it, and there were very few comments, and I don't think there was any kind of tide that was moving down the way on that.
Okay.
I just think it was an overall very positive response from them.
Well, I really appreciate the efforts that the TSBA took and all the time that the administrators took to fill these out, and to the board members to go through this. And I really appreciate you, Mr. Odom, and all the work you've done. And just wanted to let you know that.
Anybody else? I guess I'll make a few comments too, Mr. Odom. Most of you can read my comments in the back that I put down. Is what I said in there. Mr. Odom pretty well knows what I've found, working with him directly one-on-one, pretty well knows what's going on about any time with not only our system, but other systems. He enlightens me an awful lot on what's going on in the adjoining counties also. So I guess one thing I admire or appreciate, we don't get a whole lot of surprises, or I don't get a whole lot of surprises, and I don't think the board does either. You always keep us up on everything going on, and it makes our job a whole lot easier, and I just appreciate the job you're doing for us. Anybody else? You got any more comments?
Well, you know, I appreciate your candid response and areas that, and there's always room for improvement, you know, and I recognize that. The same with what I tell my administrators and the people that work in this office and work with us. That's what you're looking at. If you're ever satisfied, then you're stopped, you know. That's where you are. So you always have to look for ways or opportunities to get better at what you do. Certainly the challenges are getting greater. I guess, you know, as we look forward to another year of the Common Core assessment, That's really, I mean, it's really hard to set a specific goal out there. It's typically when you have new assessments and new things, you'll see what we call in the education world the J-curve drop. There's a little adjustment because of a total new standard, and I think this one's going to be specific. I think Kentucky had about a 30% drop in their first year. They did a Common Core assessment a year ago. I think we'll do better than that because I think we've done a better job of preparing for it. But to tell you that there's going to be two different measures. You know, this year will be the same measure, but a year from now, there's two different measures. It's be a different measure than what you're seeing right now. Still committed that I think Common Core is the way to go, and kids are getting better. Was at schools today, and principals continually tell me now that the level of interaction going on in the classroom is making a difference. And one of the things I've been doing is we do principal evaluations and all too, is we get to sit in on post-conferences with their teachers where they've done evaluation of teachers, so we sit in and listen to them dialogue and post-conferences in that, and you hear the language now from the teachers, and the teachers talking about how students are responding at a higher level than they used to, the expectation level is up. So as far as education in Tennessee and in general, I'm as encouraged as I've been in many, many years to see that we're doing some of the right things and it's going in the right direction. It's going to be tough. Our demographics change in Rutherford County. Our growth is there. Last night, Mr. Sandvik and I met with the Health and Ed Committee. I gave them, as I've told one or two of you that came in earlier, I gave them last night a copy of that third month report that showed our growth overall last year, you know, up 1,108 students from end of third month to end of third month this year, 2.8% growth. And we talked about when you take 2.8% or 3% of 40,000, that's a lot of students now. So we talked about that. On that sheet, we marked everybody, every school that had a 4% growth or higher. If you remember that sheet, it was that third month report, had a little yellow out at the end, so we were able to look at that in cluster areas where we going to need to consider maybe the next building or building program to look at, and they understand it, and they were very open to it. Did tell them that we'd likely be back to them sometime late, you know, in the winter or early spring, that we needed another piece of property because we have to begin now planning for the next school, even though we're making additions and all. It's just up. Another interesting thing that as I was preparing for them last night, our growth in high school of that 1,108, 419 of those are in the 4 grades of high school. Now that surprised me. You get surprises sometimes when you see the statistics and all. I think one of the things is that the magnet school out there has really attracted some people that may not have been with us. And I think you're seeing some of that growth there. But as I was sitting around and talking with them last night, you know, one of them made the comment, well, gosh, it'll be quick for another high school, 4 years or 5 years. I said, yeah, but if it's 419, multiply that times 5, and you've got a full high school or more. So gives them time to think about it, mull it over a little bit and see before we come back. But one of our biggest challenges is certainly growth. Rutherford County is a great place to raise your family, and with Musselburgh City Schools and Rutherford County Schools and MTSU here, great place for educational opportunities. And I think business and industry is seeing that. And that's one of the things that's drawing people to Rutherford County. And of course, in the position that you're in, we have to react to that. You know, and typically for us, it's been to try to accommodate that growth. But I do appreciate it, and I'll use this feedback and look at some things that we can get better at. We'll do that. And I would certainly suggest if any of you personally want to come and say something about one of the ratings or something that you see that you would like more information on or you would like to hear, let me know. And we can do that.
Anybody else? Let me just say, I'd encourage each board member to take the information here and decipher it and look over it and all that, and then if we want to look into it any further in January, we can. But there's a lot of information here, and like I said, after you get into it, you may have some questions. feel free to get with Mr. Odom, and I'm sure he will explain it. Mr. Bennett, we appreciate the job you did for us, and,
Do it. If you've got any questions for me about the process, give me a call. Y'all have my number, I know. And if you don't, Joyce has got it.
anything else in regards to this? Just make mention, our next meeting will be Monday night, the 9th, at 5:30. Mr. Odom's staff's gonna go over differential pay, a plan they're looking to put in place, for us to review, so, I think I told Mr. Holliday earlier that it'll probably take 2 meetings to deal with this, so, if there's nothing else further, we'll see everybody Monday at 5:30. We're adjourned.